tickling my funny bone, guys.
I try.
Oh man, what's going on, everybody? Thursday
Mm-hmm.
night live. This is the move from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that
It's the
you are
catch-up
enjoying.
move.
Yeah, the ketchup move. We hope that you guys are enjoying it. Um, a little different look on my end because it's just so beautiful outside. So I have the window open, and it's giving me some Twilight action. but why wouldn't it though? That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. So um I've been waiting for this as a Kansan. Personally, as a Kansan, I've been waiting for this moment where I can just leave my window open at 7:30. Since September of last year.
Wow.
I want to die, man. But or just move. But but anyway, so yeah, it's a beautiful day. But we have a lot that we want to talk about, and we won't keep you
Mm-hmm.
guys waiting on it. One of the things, and this is going to be a little live stream exclusive discussion, a little short, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this Elon Musk Twitter situation is wild, and it's kind of weird because you almost feel like they're playing checkers and he's playing chess, man. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because he upped his stake in the company, but then rejected the board seat and then decided,
Yep.
actually, you know what? Forget that. I'm going to buy the whole company. And so far, one person on the board has rejected that. But also, this is coming in real time via where else? Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, it's really crazy, and I don't know. It almost seems like he has an ultimate end goal,
Mm-hmm.
that may not have anything to do with owning the company. Maybe it does. I don't know, but it does seem like at least there was that ulterior motive to begin with. Maybe he thought if he were to get on the board, he'd have more pull
Mm-hmm.
from the jump. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading like when the board seat kind of got proposed or whatever like that. There were some people who were saying that it's like, well, maybe he'll reject the board seat because it gives him the opportunity to buy Twitter, and then lo and behold, he
Yeah,
offers to buy Twitter.
yeah,
you know, which I think the big thing right now that I just want to say is like, is it really it's weird, or is it just me that he's just like, oh yeah, $43 billion, that's fine, I'll just go ahead and buy it. Like,
right.
who
I
just
mean,
throws around that kind of money?
yeah, I mean, the word eccentric is a major understatement, obviously.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, not, I don't want to say major understatement. I still feel like I could relate to him. I've seen him in some videos. Actually, a friend of a friend I know has this really cool YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. It's called Everyday Astronaut, and
Mm.
it's super science and tech nerdy, and it's really cool. Like I said, he's a friend of a friend, and one of the videos is he got a personalized tour of the SpaceX launch facility with Elon Musk.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was like him and three other people. Yeah, it was really cool. Um, and he seems like a normal guy, so
Mm-hmm.
you hear all these accusations about him and whatnot, but when I envision like an eccentric billionaire, um, man,
Jeff Bezos, man, that's the who I think of.
it's exactly what I was about to say. For real. Um, with his cowboy hat right now. This is literally what Stephen Colbert said one night.
Hmm.
Right, his cowboy hat riding his penis rocket all the way to the moon. Yeah. But seriously, like that's a as it's gotten as that company has gotten bigger, you've only realized more and more, how interesting that guy is for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you're right, yeah, just to whip out, I think it shows how wealthy this man is, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, even though he's not on the board of Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Um, but Tesla does not just do cars, they do um
Solar
well they're
panels.
solar panels, they do commercial power.
Yep.
Um
Big giant commercial battery packs.
yep, exact
Um,
power banks, I think is what they call them.
yeah.
Um
Big
and so
project that they finished in Australia was one of those.
that's right. Yeah, weren't they powering a small community off of one of those?
Well, they were, I think so. I think it very at first, but I think they were the main bulk of the project was to help stabilize their grid because Australia had been having issues for,
Yeah.
I think, a couple of years at that point with like their power grid not being super duper stable. So the batteries were there to kind of help keep it stable or
Yeah.
help it fix because they were going through like blackouts or something like that.
No, no, you're exactly right. Um, yeah, and so I remember that. But keep in mind too, on top of that, owns SpaceX, right? And so that in and of itself is a multi-billion-dollar venture.
Hmm.
Um, Neuralink is rarely talked about, but that's a research and development right now of connecting our brains through a chip to a computer, right? Um,
Hmm.
which the goal is increasing our brain's capabilities. I think the early goals are to do things like, give people who are, you know,
Paralyzed.
paraplegics,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, the ability to use their limbs again, which is the subject of the movie Upgrade, which is a terrifying movie. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, um, maybe the AI controlling him is a supervillain,
Hmm.
but no, anyway, you know, he has a lot of money coming in, so
Oh yeah, the Boring
obviously
Company. You almost forgot about that too.
the Boring Company, yeah, for sure, for
Hmm.
sure. That's my favorite name of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that's still in development too, but that the idea is to go under the earth for faster transportation, right? Dig all these tunnels and everything.
Which, yeah, which they did create in Las Vegas.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah, they've got their own little tunnel loop deal where they also feed in like right now it's being used. They're just have a bunch of Teslas under there, but it's a
right.
great way to get around Las Vegas under the city and
How long has
stuff
that
like
been
that.
around?
I think it's been around for at least a year, maybe. Actually, no, I feel like it's been around for a couple of years at this point.
Dang, I wish I'd known that. I would have rented a Tesla and hopped on that thing. Really forgot. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much, um, that he has his fingers in. So you have to think, does he view Twitter as a
Like a
profitable
stepping
business?
stone.
Obviously, he would, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's
uh,
true. I mean, I would think that he would view it as a profitable business, or I don't know. I almost feel like he might be using it. I could also see him doing it as like something to kind of like have under his belt because right, we have so we've got Tesla, which is transportation. You've got SpaceX, which is flight extraterrestrial flight being able to go beyond the stars. You've got um, the Boring Company, which is essentially mining, or well, not mining, but it can be mining, going under the earth. And then you have, I think that's it, right?
yeah,
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 Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company. I think that's it. Yeah, and so it could just be another strike under his belt, right? Twitter, which would be
sure,
weird, but
yeah. Let's take a look.
Oh wait,
Um,
Starlink. I forgot about that.
Starlink, there you
There
go,
we go.
great one. So there are some others here. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Zip 2, that was an early one.
Yeah. I know PayPal was also a part of his stuff.
PayPal, see, people don't know this, but he co-founded PayPal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
obviously, when eBay bought that, that's where he got all that money to buy
Hmm.
Tesla, right?
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
but actually, looking at this from the chronology of it, SpaceX came first. I did not know
Hmm.
that.
Did not
He
know
went,
that actually. Yeah.
yeah, he went to SpaceX first, so he had this vision for a while. Um, Tesla, Solar City, which is tied to Tesla Energy. But
Yeah.
there's Starbase in Texas, which would serve as a hub for all things SpaceX,
Mm.
and um, would be completely powered off of Tesla energy. Check this out.
Mm.
So, uh, okay, this is interesting. There's a little part in here about his management style. Anyway, um, this is crazy. So Neuralink, okay.
Hmm.
For those who don't know, Neuralink is neurotechnology uh, integrating the human brain with artificial intelligence by creating devices that are embedded in the brain to facilitate its merging with machines. The devices, so this started in 2016, so it's been going for 6 years now, 6 years of
Yeah.
development, right?
Yeah.
Um, So the devices will also reconcile with the latest improvements in artificial intelligence to stay updated. Such improvements could enhance memory or allow the devices to communicate with software more effectively. At a live demonstration at August 2020, that's interesting. Middle of the pandemic, he decides to demonstrate this.
Hmm.
Um, he described one of the early devices as a Fitbit in your skull uh, that could cure paralysis, deafness. Whoa, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
That actually, well, we'll come back to that. Blindness and other disabilities. Many neuroscientists and publications criticize these claims, describe them as highly speculative in neuroscience theater. MIT Technology Review. Well, you can't really argue with MIT Technology Review. I
No,
feel
you
like,
can't. You
yeah,
can't.
yeah, I feel like you have to kind of take what they're saying, for sure. But this is interesting though, because how would you do that? See, curing deafness, there's like the perception of the brain that it's not hearing anything,
Hmm.
um, and lack of connectivity there. I don't really know how a chip could fix that, but
Well, I mean, we do have cochlear implants, right?
right,
Which essentially does something similar to that, where I mean, I think there is some fixing of like the eardrums. If it depends on like how it's developed or whatever like that. But essentially,
sure,
it's essentially a little chip or whatever like that that would be put like back here, right?
yeah,
And then that implant is used to be able to receive some of the incoming signals and then transmit that directly to the brain for the brain to interpret as
sure.
sounds and then go from there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want a chip in my brain. I'm gonna be honest. I don't trust that, man. Think
I
of
mean,
I don't
I'm not a big fan of it either, but I do think that if done correctly, there are a lot of really good possibilities that could come out of it.
I think if you market it from like a health benefit standpoint, then that would help. But like, think of how
Hmm.
people are like, "Oh, electric cars!" Like they want you to drive them so they can control your car. Like they're already like that, so they're like, "I'm not putting daggone chip in my brain. I'm not putting a chip in my brain." To be fair, unless, but it reminds
Hmm.
me of. I think I've brought this up before, but it reminds me of this movie that it was a total B movie, and I wish it's funny. It reminds me of the movie, but I don't remember the title of the movie. Um, but came out in the '90s. It's a total B movie, like sci-fi movie, but
Hmm.
it's similar idea, but basically genetic modification of humans. Only the wealthy could afford to genetically modify their kids, so it made them athletes, made them super smart, whatever, things, qualities that would help them be successful and make more money. So the
Yeah.
rich stayed
Yeah.
rich and the
Designer
poor,
babies.
right? Designer, yeah, 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 and the poor stayed poor. Um, so it kind of reminds me of that with this. I mean, obviously, the initial sale point is, hey, this is going to cure all sorts of mental issues, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. It really
Yeah.
is interesting. One thing I could see it doing though is maybe speeding up studies involving the brain. You know,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
really know a very limited amount of how the brain works, which is why, with these mental health issues that have been brought to light in the past couple of years, we really don't know a lot about how to treat them, how to solve them, because how do you test a brain?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
hard to test a brain that's functioning,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough. We already have a hard enough time prescribing people the correct drugs to figure out like what will help cure, say, like your depression, or if there's like chemical imbalances in the brain, like what will work and what doesn't work. And, a lot of times it's a lot of trial and error. So, yeah,
yeah,
I could easily see these devices being able to it'd be great, to accelerate that study and be able to say, like, okay, now we know exactly what type of chemical imbalance there is that's causing these, certain things or whatever like that. So prescribe this or whatever like that.
right,
Or even like the chip is able to make the changes itself on the fly without any actual drugs to do that.
sure.
Um, but I do want to know what your thought is on this version of the argument is, and I think Elon Musk even said this is, you know, at the rate of which AI is starting to advance, right? What if AI would you be in more agreement of to try to keep up with AI? Say AI gets really, really close to something very similar to like human intelligence, would you and on the verge of being at human intelligence and maybe even surpassing it, would you then be more receptive of using said chips or whatever like that to be able to accelerate or to help the human brain be able to keep up
Well,
with
this is the interesting
AI?
thing, right? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the
No,
interesting
no
thing
worries.
about it is that is actually what Elon Musk said initially as to what he wanted to do with the Neuralink is kind of a if you can't beat them, join them kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Because he has formerly said he doesn't agree with AI. He doesn't
Yeah,
agree with how it's being developed and tested. Now, the funny thing is, uh, they've
he creates
since
one.
what's
He's
that?
used them before himself, or he's
Yeah,
used them. Yeah.
and it's continuing to progress. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, if AI becomes self-aware and self-teaching, then it certainly could get to a point where it sees our fallacies as people, right? Um, and does away with us, for example, right? Um, but I don't know, I would rather say the other thing. So there's AI that I think is very helpful um, on
Hmm.
a consumer level. Uh, transcribing audio. There's a thing called Otter AI. Check it out if you ever need a transcriber. Like, you're listening to a speech, you want to refer back to it later. It's crazy. I remember I started doing this during the pandemic when I was working in the news, and we'd have these regular press briefings, and I would have to use that, and it even properly capitalized any organization that was mentioned, which was mind blowing to me.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
I think AI being able to monitor trends within people for health, is very good.
Hmm.
But then there's like the complete opposite of that. There was this company that I saw a YouTube ad for the other day, and it was like 30 different AI voice. It was like text to speech AI,
Hmm.
right? And I'm like, man, if you're gonna pay a monthly fee for an AI to write what you just typed, why don't you just learn to speak normally? You know?
Well,
Like,
I think most of it is supposed to be kind of like for call centers, right? So that way you can have a call center that sounds more normal or whatever like that. So it sounds like you're actually speaking to a person. Because I've
that's true.
used like Google has their text to speech program thing that you can essentially pay for or whatever. And they have multiple different voices, and the way it pronounces everything is pretty impressive.
Sure.
Um, uh, so I think that would be kind of helpful in like applications like those where it's speaking to another human or whatever like that, or it's speaking to a human, but you want it to sound more like a real person or whatever like that, or at least properly pronounce or say things like a normal human would.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and those are low level AIs, right? But
Yeah.
we're talking about bigger kind of stuff here. Increasing our brain power. I'm more coming at it from I like the idea of, treating people who are suffering from something, allowing people to walk again, to feel again, those type of things I think are crucially important. I think connecting my brain to the internet is just another thing I don't want to do,
Yeah.
because you talked about what we talked about in here a couple weeks ago, right? We talked about the impact of an EMP, right? So imagine an EMP happens. Now this is like worst case scenario. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but imagine an EMP happens, and uh, you know, either the chip is just destroyed in your brain. What's that going to do? Or the server that's connected to goes down.
Hmm.
What are the ramifications of that on your brain? Um, how does that impact you? And these are things we don't know. Also, do you have to stay on the same wireless network as the server, or how does it constantly communicate?
I would think the way that it would have its own network. At least that's my thought process on it, right? If I were to implement, say, Neuralink today, it would be something similar to it has its own network. So, one, there's only one form of its own network, it's encrypted. So, all the information is being sent to that person, as well as that person is sending out, is all encrypted. So that makes it one harder to hack. So you're not connecting your brain to like Starbucks Wi-Fi to get the latest upload of like, I don't know, the Love It or Listed or whatever. um,
Yeah.
but so yeah, I would think it would be something similar to that. And then I think I would make it to where it's truly just more of a supplement, right? So it's only used to increase your brain power. And so, like, yeah, if it were to go down or whatever like that because of X, Y, and Z, an EMP, or I don't know, maybe it has to do an update, it has to shut down and
Yeah.
restart.
Yeah. Right.
Um, you would still be you, you just wouldn't have that other connection there to speed up certain other processes, but you would still be like a normal person. So you would still be a functioning human being. Now, and I guess that does go into the thought of like, still what if you become super reliant on it or whatever like
Yeah.
that? And that is true, but I feel like the same can easily be said by these. I mean,
Well, true.
we've
Right.
become incredibly reliant on our cell phones that it's kind of, it feels weird, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but for me it feels weird when I don't have my phone on me.
Yeah.
There are still times, of course, where I can just forget that I even have a phone, or it'll be somewhere and I won't be thinking about it, but still there are other moments where, if I don't have it, especially if I'm out in public or whatever like that, and I don't have it, I feel like I'm missing something. So I would feel that it may be something similar, or we're already kind of in something similar to that. But
I see where you're coming from
there's a
with that.
big difference though. But
No,
yeah.
yeah, there is, because it doesn't directly impact you. It indirectly impacts you in that way.
Yeah.
And Yeah, but I still see where you're coming from. To me, I would think that um I don't know. It is one of those things where it would make you would you feel tired if that doesn't work or what, comparatively? I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine. I understand that, there's a perception that we don't even use half of our full brain power on a regular
which
basis,
is not true.
right? Right.
It's not
Well,
scientifically true at all.
sure, yeah. But still, what would increasing that be like? I don't know. It's just so many unknowns to me, I think, and for me, I don't want to be the guinea pig for that. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it's funny because I always think of it as like being something like the movie or even TV show, I guess, of like Limitless.
Yes.
If you've ever seen that, I kind of
Mhm.
think of it akin to something similar to that. Like it just speeds up your brain power or whatever like that.
I do
But
too.
even that, goes into more of a fiction style. But
I mean, he froze time in that movie, man.
no, it's just his brain was perceiving things so quickly that,
Oh, I know.
that it felt like he was freezing time. But
Yeah.
actually, at the same time, that would also be kind of terrifying
Hey, that's what I'm
because
saying.
right, if you have hyper perception, right, so you're clocking, this whole conversation could be happening in the normal time or whatever like that, but your perception of it is going at the speed of, I don't know, light or whatever like that. So it's insanely fast. You're just thinking of things and stuff like that, and you're going through you've been through like essentially a whole day's worth of stuff, but only like a few seconds have passed by.
Right.
So there is something to be said on that, but I would
Yeah.
imagine it'd be something like you turn on and turn off, kind of like a spidey sense almost.
I
Now
don't
of
know.
course that's going into like the realms of like comic books and stuff,
Make
but
believe. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could I could think of it as something like that, right? Like you could just be like hyper perception on, and then when you need to focus on something
Yeah.
quickly or whatever, you're able to
Sure.
do that.
When you really want to savor those moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Pepperidge Farm remembers, man. It's some of those. Um, I don't know. It just, yeah, there's so many unknowns to me. And I feel like, it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I gotta see it work first. And then,
Mhm.
a couple of
Same.
years go by, then everybody has a chip in their brain. I'm like, why am I not as funny as everybody else? And then I'm like, oh, it's because they have the chips. Um,
Mhm.
but
Although,
no,
or go ahead, sorry.
well, it reminds me of this movie called Transcendence with Johnny Depp, where
Mm,
he's dying because of a critical illness, and he uploads his
mm,
brain, basically in this way where it becomes an AI and learns things at such a rapid rate that he ends up basically becoming evil because he wants everyone to live this life. So he tries to mass produce nanobots that will in fact infect the world and basically connect them to him
mhm.
so that he is everyone. Um, but yeah, anyway, it's those kind of things have really put a bad name for this kind of technology, which is why it's kind of crazy to me that it's still progressing. You know what I mean? Because there is
Mhm.
such a public stigma against that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same in like robotics, right?
Mhm.
It's, building robots that are able to do things that humans can and stuff like that. Which, side note, building a humanoid robot would be insanely inefficient
Sure.
because you'd realistically, you would probably want robots. You'd want very specified robots because then they could do each individual task. Like if I wanted a robot to clean my room, I don't want to build a robot that looks like me. I want to build a robot that's just good at being able to clean my room,
Right. Right.
regardless of what it looks like.
Mhm.
But or wash the dishes, the same type of deal. Um, uh, so
Right. Yeah. Those are the priorities. Like you buy a robot, you're like, hey, clean my room, do the dishes. Like, there you go. That's
hey,
all
man, I'm just saying.
I want. Yeah. I no, I feel that. You know, I don't know. Kind of to tie it all back in. There's a lot going on in the world of Elon Musk. You know, including this Neuralink technology. But you know, we have Twitter. We
Hmm.
have all this is going on right now.
Got an
Really,
edit button for Twitter now,
what?
or an
Well,
edit
that's
button, or they're testing it.
well, yeah, because that's what he was pushing for.
Yeah.
Now, they made an interesting point. Twitter, while he pushed for that, said, you know, vote carefully, which is honestly a good point because if you're to hold people accountable via this cancel culture that we've developed, you know, you're
Hmm.
not going to be able to do that if there's an edit button unless they show edit history, right? And that would be the thing
Yeah.
because
That's
Facebook
yeah.
does.
Yeah, because that's what I would wonder too. It's like how would they implement editing for like tweets and stuff like that? Would there be a time limit? Like you can only edit from this point to this point, or would there be, like you said, an edit history, or would there be, there's a lot of things that kind of makes it hard for you to kind of understand which one is the best one, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I know. I don't know either. I would imagine, you know, to keep some sort of you know, competence, I guess, it would be ideal for them to, you know, monitor edit history and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But it's going to be interesting to watch. I just checked to see if there were any updates on tweets, but he really is going back and forth, or he did earlier with a guy who's on the board of Twitter
Hmm.
and works for Kingdom Holding Company, one of the world's most successful diversified investment holding companies, led by Prince Al Walid Talal, and that is who he was talking mess with. So this guy is a prince. Um, I don't know of where, but I'm thinking it's Saudi Arabia because it does say .sa. So
Hmm.
yeah. Um, so anyway, you know, it was interesting because Elon goes, you know, how much of Twitter does the kingdom own currently, directly or indirectly? And what are the kingdom's views of journalistic freedom of speech? Because that's one of the things that Elon wants to promote, which has been a
Hmm.
hot topic, of course, you know, for these guys and over on Twitter. And so, you know, for him saying that, there is no freedom of speech when it comes to, you know, Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
It's been actually a lot of talk about that and their human rights issues that they have going over there. So I don't know. This is a very interesting um, topic to watch play out in real time, more or less. Mark Cuban was going off on it, you know, saying that Elon Musk stands to gain from this because you know these holdings will go up. The value of Twitter will go up just because he, you know, and tried to buy it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's interesting because there's a lot of people that try to hate on him, but so far he hasn't done anything like that in his history of all these companies that would benefit him in that way. Not publicly anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he would start now, but um but yeah, so this actually kind of ties into our topic that we want to that was submitted to us that will be on the actual audio episode. So you guys got a little bit of a exclusive here tonight. But
Hmm.
the actual topic that was submitted came to us from Christina Smith, aka my mom. And it's a really good topic submission. It is you know, what do we value as heroes nowadays, you know, and are there any heroes left, which is something that actually kind of ties directly into Twitter as far as I'm concerned, and it's something I think a lot about, really. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this topic. I think we should get into it, but I'm also going to
Hmm.
close my windows because it's starting to get chilly now. So
Starting to get some of that Kansas chili, man. It's a
yeah,
little
the
cold.
Kansas chill in the air.
Hmm.
Plus
Hmm.
that huge plant fire that's not too far off.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's. thing that you want to kind of avoid. It's a smoking 72 here, so it's a little different.
Great. That'd be great. It literally got down to 29 the other night.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I know. I literally anywhere but here. That's all I'm saying. So let me hit this record button.
Got down in the 60s, I think.
Oh dang. Yeah. Well, just prepare me another space, man. I'm coming. I'm moving in. That's it.
Oh yeah, man.
Okay, I think we're good here. Let's go ahead and jump into this. 3, 2, 1. This week's topic comes to us from Christina Smith, aka my mom. And it's a really good topic submission. It's something I think a lot about. But what does our generation, right, and the generation younger than us, at least from our perception, value as a hero, right? And I think that there's an underlying belief and perception that all generations share, and that'd be people like first responders, right? People like that, healthcare, those type of things. But beyond that, what do we view as who is a hero? And are there any heroes left? Which is something that I think about a lot, actually. And I don't know. Hot take, one word or less. Yes or no? Are there heroes anymore?
I'll
say no.
You know what? I'm actually going to follow you on that. I don't think there is, at least not on not on my definition of hero.
Okay, sure. I'm actually viewing that on a couple definitions of heroes. And that would be, who pop culture builds up as a hero as well. So, yeah, I would say no, but I think that the reason for that, in my opinion, is because we communicate and put more of ourselves out there than we ever have before. So, it's a bit cynical of a take, to be honest. It really is, and it would imply that truly a lot of the people that are built up in the media as heroes, there never have been, right?
Yeah.
We just didn't know about it before. So that's kind of the basis for this discussion. And we got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it.
You're good.
I took too big a swig of this Sam Adams Summer Ale. It's not summer yet, but it will be. It will be. Matter of fact, let me crack open another one real quick.
Gonna crack open another one, man.
Crack one open, man.
You're getting wild over here.
2 meter kind of podcast.
I know, man. I'm good with my nice thing of non-water. It's great.
Water.
Yeah, well, it's empty because I need some water. I need to refill, but there was water in there.
I'll pour some out. Ready?
Oh yeah. I'm ready. I got it ready. Okay, go ahead. Oh man, look at that. Oh, you know what? Already full.
Yeah. Let's try to quench your thirst, man. I don't want you to get parched in the middle of the recording.
Oh, thank you. I'm feeling great.
Anytime. So, I probably should pop this open actually before we start.
Can't hear that on camera, man, or on the audio.
Oh, I got you.
Oh wow, you've got you got the can opener. Okay.
Can opener with a little hook right
there. Yeah, the little hook. Okay. I think I actually have that exact same can opener.
Do you really?
I think so.
Did you shop at Home Goods or no?
No. I think I got it from Target.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Okay. That's probably where I got it from, actually. Now I think about it. Let's go ahead and do our intro.
Yeah. Of course.
Double fist style. All right. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? I'm John,
And I'm Dennison.
and this is the catch up. It made me jump there, man. That was aggressive.
Yeah, man. Well, I got it. I got to come aggressive. That's what it is. That's what it's
Right. You
about.
do have to bring it. Yeah, you got to come hot with it. I get
Mm-hmm.
it.
So,
Heck yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So let's see here. I think we're about ready. All
I
right.
think so.
All right. Cool. Um, oh, my. I'm getting emails. Okay.
Oh man, not the emails, man.
Not the emails, man.
You got to hold
Okay.
the emails off.
Yeah, I know. I know. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Before we get started, I want to remind you guys of the best ways to support us on the podcast. Number one, we're live streaming on Facebook right now. We're live streaming over on YouTube. And it provides an interesting and unique opportunity for you to catch up with us in real time as we record these episodes. Get them ready for the podcast, for Apple Podcasts, for Spotify. Um, and engage with us in real time, about the topics that we're talking about. It also allows you to submit your topic suggestions in real time, because what we do over here on the Catch Up Podcast is entirely viewer submit. We want to catch up with you. That's the biggest thing. So we want to know what's going on in your world, what has you talking, what has you discussing, you know, things with your friends. Maybe it's just been on your mind that week, and we want to hear about it. And every Thursday night, we go live with the audio version coming out on Monday. So we want to know what's had you talking. Submit that to us. Number two, leave us a rating and review, and subscribe if you like us. Let us know how we're
Mhm.
doing. It will really help us out, really benefit us. And then every time you do that, it tells the algorithm, hey, another person reacted to this. We should share it with some more people. So that is a really easy way to help us out, quick and easy. And if you want to support us even more than that, with a little bit of scratch, if you will, a little bit of financial help, go to our website. It's linked down in the description of this episode. It's nosignalrocks.com. There's a drop down menu, and you'll find the Catch Up Podcast over there. And you will find all of our audio, all of our video, all of our merch and apparel, all in one place. And yeah, find something that you like. Go ahead and buy it. It'll be shipped directly to your door.
Mhm.
It'll help us out as well. So that, with that out of the way, actually, I wanted to tell you something real fast before we get into our topic. So
Mm.
the website kind of reminded me of this, but I have a profile. I don't know if people will be aware. I think you are. It's called Bands in Town. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and it's hosted by Live Nation, which is the biggest concert provider in the world. So it tells you, when the bands that you like are coming to your town. It's as simple as that. So, with that said, I am on there, have a pretty good following somehow. I don't know how. I get more followers on there every week, and I don't, all I do is post where we're playing, um, but I think it's also partly because there's a couple of different no signals. Okay.
Mhm.
In fact, I have a pretty good following in Minnesota, in Chicago. We've never played there. So, you know, I think that is part of the issue. So I got this notice, and I thought it was spam at first, but somebody literally made a trademark claim
Mhm.
on the band name.
Wow.
Yeah, a trademark claim,
Okay.
which you can do, but of all the no signals in all in all the bars, right? I've
Mhm.
never seen um somebody that has a big enough following that would require another band to do like a cease and desist.
Mhm.
So type in no signal right now. Let's take a look. The artist that comes up after me, obviously, I'm first on Spotify because I follow myself. But um, let's see here. Okay, so pretty decent following, 23,000 monthly listeners, and also
Mhm.
a verified artist.
Mm.
Um, and in fact, I know for a fact this is the band that issued this, because their events are popping up on my website, which is mildly frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, and I haven't been able to fix that for some reason, but trying in the process of. So yeah. Anyway, this is a thing. So we had to change our name, and it changed it automatically. Yeah, it's still not fixing it. That's annoying. You guys will see if you go to the website. It'll say we're playing in Boulder, Colorado. That's not happening. But this band has again 23,000 monthly listeners. Okay, but still, man, to file a trademark claim, that's kind of
Yeah,
wild. I
it
should have
is.
done it first. So they automatically changed our name to No Signal Rocks on Bands in Town, which let me tell you, it's kind of serendipitous. I ended up doing that because I made that the business name for our website, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I made it the the handle on the YouTube page, on our Facebook page, all of that because I had to, because No Signal was already taken.
Mm-hmm.
The only place it didn't keep me from doing that was on Spotify and on Bands in Town. And I don't think they can make you change it on Spotify. So I'm good to go, even in so far as the um, brand name that I have over on the website. But literally, this band, man, that I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, like it's impressive. 232,000 streams on their top song. That's impressive. But
Mm-hmm.
man, they filed a trademark claim against the other No Signals. And it's too late now. I can't change my band name. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna have to get a bigger and better record deal and then sue them back.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to, man. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this topic. So let's start here. What would you say our generation views as a hero?
Um, to be honest, I feel like our generation, the only thing that our generation would actually view as a hero is
Mhm.
like someone who is literally infallible.
Okay. Well,
Because
in what capacity? Or I'm sorry, what capacity is that person in?
I would say it would be someone who is incredibly philanthropic um and very famous. I kind of
Okay.
feel like it'd be both of those, to be honest. And they haven't done any, like, there hasn't been any big scandals or whatever like that, or um, essentially they come off as this really really genuine good person. Like every interaction that people have with them is amazing. They're donating to all these amazing causes, and they, say all the right things, and they're famous because stardom is kind of a very big important thing, part of our generation. So I think,
Sure.
you know, just being famous is kind of one of the biggest things as well.
Yeah.
And they're very um, uh, I'm trying to think, like, socially conscious. I think that's the big thing too.
Okay. Sure.
So that's my thought process on it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Would you say that Elon Musk, we were just talking about him, you guys listening on the audio version exclusively over on our live streams, you want to check it out. We're talking
Hmm.
about Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter and all of the many things going on with him. Would you say that he is one of those? I mean, would you say he would be considered a hero by some?
Um, I would probably say by some, yes. I wouldn't say that he would fully meet every definition.
Mhm.
Um,
I
but
would.
I would say, yeah, by some, I would say that he is probably a hero to them because
I
he's very successful. He's famous. He's relatively philanthropic. He's very socially aware. Um,
I would say if you expand the definition of philanthropic, then I would say he's very philanthropic.
mm,
Because the Starlink program is designed to give internet access to underserved countries, you know.
True.
Um, and if you look at like what we were talking about earlier on the live stream, really that is, you know, a lack of internet access is a lack of access to wealth, you know, to resources. And so it, you know, again, if you expand that a little bit, you could view that as philanthropic. Now, I would
Yeah.
say I would view him as a hero for that reason, for sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would, because he does these things that are uh, different, you know, outside of the norm, but also with, of course, he stands to profit from it, but they really are difference making things. They really are things
Yeah.
that are changing the world, you know. And so I'm gonna take a step back. What would I say our generation views? I don't disagree with you. I see something else though. I see people
Mm.
idolized, um, you know, sometimes on social media just for, like, take Dua Lipa, right?
Hmm.
Or Megan the Stallion, right? Take both of them. Um, I'm not trying to hate on them per se, because you know everybody does something different, everybody has their taste. But what is it that they do that's so unique, so game changing, other than fitting a genre and being hot, right? I mean,
Hmm.
what do they do? So I don't know. I think our you know, externally we have these different motivations for who we idolize, who we make a hero, but internally, you know, subconsciously it's motivated by attractiveness, charisma, right? These type of things.
Very
And
vain,
huh?
very vain type of thought process, right?
Yeah, and I think that we make heroes out of people that make us feel good, right?
Mm.
And that's what I think our society does. So it is vain, it's self-serving. But I would also say that, and this is the next question I want to ask you actually. Um, what would you say is a hero to you? Not necessarily to the generation. Now, I don't know if you were including that in what you were talking about, but
Hmm.
to you, who would you view as a hero? Or what type of person, I should say?
Um, that's really hard to say, to be honest. I
Yeah.
would probably say a lot of it would be very close to kind of what I already said. Um, but at the same time, um, I don't know. In a lot of that, it's a weird feeling for me to say that because I don't, I guess in some ways I don't have a hero. I mean, I don't, or at least I don't see a hero in our current society, if that makes any sense. And so I guess I don't have like a guideline to go off of, right? There's no one who I've been able to say like, man, that person, they check all these boxes. They're really cool. They've got, blah, blah, blah. Um, and they fit my thought process of what a hero would be or whatever like that. And it's hard for me to kind of voice that properly in words. But I would probably say it's very similar to kind of what I described. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Um, I hear where you're coming from. It is kind of hard to, you know, really define that. And I think we'll get into why here in a second. My Aunt Gail chime in.
Hmm.
She says that she loves the topic. And Darian, he's on the live stream as well, says
Hmm.
a more modern day hero would be Angelina Jolie. Jennifer Aniston might think otherwise, but Jolie's a hero nonetheless. I'd be interested to know why you think that, man. I really
Yeah,
would.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'd want to elaborate.
I want to elaborate on that too. Yeah, I'll save my thoughts. So the you know who I would, okay, so there's the obvious. I really do idolize, or you know, make heroes out of firefighters, especially, you know.
Hmm.
Because God, why would you want to do that, man? Just think of what they have to go through. But firefighters and paramedics, And then well-intentioned police officers. I mean,
Mm,
really all of them deserve to be paid more. And I actually listened back to this episode we did 2 years ago about the topic with police, and
mhm.
I mentioned back then that in my opinion, issue would be fixed if there was higher pay, because then they could have higher standards of uh, um, who they would hire, right? You know what
Uh,
I mean?
I guess. I mean,
Well, think about
I
it. So think
still,
about it like this. Like, I just want to add this. The reason I say that is because there are a low number of applicants, because no one wants to put their life on the line for that low of pay. So you get
yeah.
interested that do.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't. I feel like there still needs to be another, and I guess this can go in with the higher pay, but I still feel like there needs to be a huge culture change within that, that also needs to, that, because I think higher pay, if we were to just stack on higher pay automatically to kind of what the system is currently, I don't think it would make a difference. I think if
Sure.
anything, we would get the exact same, they're the exact same people, they just be getting paid more. So I
I
don't,
feel
and that's probably just coming from my personal experience or just my personal beliefs and thoughts. I don't think higher pay would make a difference. I think it's a culture change that needs to change and make a difference for me to feel, I guess, comfortable saying, like, I feel like if I could verify that the culture has fully changed, I would be cool with being able to increase the pay. And I do understand you're saying the higher pay would hopefully add, or hopefully start bringing in those higher tier candidates. But at the same time, I feel like if you still have the culture that is currently there, you may get higher tier candidates, but those people, those, if they don't fit the culture that is currently there, then um you won't, those higher tier people may just get weeded out because the people who are currently there are going to feel um, threatened, because this is very
right.
much a normal human behavior, right? We feel threatened by something that, even though it's better for overall, right, we feel threatened by something that is something or someone who is better than we are.
Sure. I think that negative culture is a cancer, and it's really hard to eradicate. And so it, in my opinion, would have to start from bringing in more quality candidates, and then building a good foundation from the training side of things, so that weeds out that negative culture. Because I mean, it's difficult. It really, having been involved in those, negative cultures. I mean, once that starts spreading, it's like, how do you reverse this? I don't know.
Well,
But
but, or
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, that still goes back to my point where it's, if the negative culture is so high up, again, those, what will happen is you can bring in the better people who are going to have that better state of mind or whatever like that. But if those people don't see any changes being made, even though they're coming in with these bright ideas and trying to change things,
Yeah,
then they're, all that's going to happen is those people are going to get eroded into the people that are currently there. So your culture doesn't change, it just stays the exact same. You're
sure.
just breeding the same people with more money. So that's why I guess it sounds more, it's probably more of a, it reminds me of an old director who said this, where it's and it's kind of like the worst, I wouldn't say worse, but it's a very risky option, but I do think it can help. Is you just, as he stated it, you just got to cut off the necrotic leg and just go on from there.
Right.
um,
Right.
because like you said, it, when it becomes cancerous,
It does.
and how do you fix that, right? And
Mhm.
for me, at least, my thought process is to, I don't know exactly how, but essentially you would just go and it sounds weird, but delete the people who are a part of the problem, like a part of
Mm,
the cancer.
sure.
uh, and then you can, at that point, whoever's remaining, right, your good cells or your good people or whatever like that, can build from the ground up, that newer foundation, or essentially those well vetted good cells or whatever like that are now your new foundation. And then when you bring in new people with with more money, it helps slowly build itself up to that point to where you now have fully changed the culture. But I think if you're trying to go from the bottom and hope that that changes, it's the same as when people are like, "Well, I'll change the organization from the inside," and then they go in and then they turn, 20 years later, they're the same person who is there already.
Yeah, right. Well, and I get you definitely. And you make great points. It starts from the top down. And in fact, to dabble on this a little bit, and at first I thought, "Oh, this doesn't tie in at all," but it actually does. There were text messages, and yeah, I believe they were just text messages, and other forms of messages, maybe emails that had come from Sedgwick County Sheriff's deputies and Wichita police, that were, you know, uh, misogynist, racially charged, racist, these type of things. And, I want to come back to that. I want to lay that, like, my view of a hero is somebody who sacrifices themselves for the betterment of others, right? And so I would,
Hmm.
even, I don't know Elon Musk. I like to have a big um opinion of him, or a high opinion of him. I do. But, at the same time, he kind of does sacrifice his sanity a little bit for all these projects. You think about
Hmm.
it, you know what I mean? And then but I am, again, talking about like first responders and people like that. Uh and then I would also say I view heroes as people who are unapologetically themselves,
Mm.
and I used to view The Rock that way, but as I've gotten older, uh The Rock is a character, you know? Like, he
Hmm.
is a character that's always on. Um so I don't know about him, but guys like Stephen Colbert or people like that, Lewis Hamilton in sports, it's even Tom Brady in sports, they're unapologetically themselves all the time. And
Hmm.
when they are that, and they also serve to entertain, be philanthropic, help, benefit other people. Those are the people that I view as heroes because, in my opinion, they add something to society. They add positivity to society. They add positive influence to generations because, no matter what, if they're on a camera, they're influencers, right? So,
Yeah.
um, right or wrong, that is just how it is. And so, those are the people that I would view as heroes. Now, why would I say, now, at the top of this episode, we both said that there are no true heroes, right? And one of the reasons I would say that is because of technology and because of
Mm.
social media. And that is the point that I'm trying to make by bringing up the sheriff's deputies, the police department. Supposedly, none of them are with the department anymore. And also, interestingly, our former chief of police left, just a month, maybe two before this came out,
Mm.
Um, but that is the thing, technology exposes people a lot more. So I'm kind of coming at this from the reverse angle, right? You look at like Kevin Hart and that whole thing that went on with him with was it the Oscars or was it the Emmys? I don't, it was some award show. I know
Yeah.
that. They brought up a tweet from 10 years ago and then threw him off and brought him back. It's just wild. But it is not cancel culture. So their cancel culture plays a part in this, but it's also people making complete idiots of themselves. So Another example I'll give you, one of the highest paid coaches in football, John Gruden, emailed people, uh, you know, basically sexually harassing comments about, female employees, um, you know, other controversial statements that were, yeah, had stigma behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost himself the job. And that's the thing. If he had never said that, the perception of John Gruden was that he's fiery, he's passionate, he's incredibly intelligent, and he's devoted, right? And he's pretty
Yeah.
entertaining too when he was doing Monday Night Football. He was really good. And so then you look at it and you're like, is he that guy? Or is he actually this guy? And that's the thing, because the definition of integrity is what you're doing when nobody watches. And so, or when you think nobody's watching. But again, my point is, and I want to get your take on it, is that there aren't heroes like there once were. We have our personal heroes, but universal heroes. One reason for that is because people are made to expose themselves for their fallacies more easily than ever before. And so if you took this technology, if you took this method of communication, if you took social media back to the 50s, right? Would we have, would we all love Lucy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Would we say I love Lucy? Who knows? Who knows? But there's a chance that a lot of the people that we do elevate from for that stardom standpoint, we wouldn't. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I want to get your take on all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's, I think that's a really good observation. Like, technology has, made it so that we can all connect incredibly well as being able to connect with these, quote unquote heroes of
Mm,
ours so much easier. And it kind of goes back to that old fable of, or really kind of like saying of, never meet your heroes
yes.
because they always let you down. And so, and um, I think from that standpoint, we've kind of always had that thought process of like, your heroes are essentially there to be far away, if that makes any sense. Like, I think, because I think that saying actually tells me a lot, because when you tell someone never meet your heroes, that means in some ways under a microscope, no one is a hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only when you're viewing them from afar, when you have them on that pedestal, that they become that hero or that figure that is very similar. But when you really look at them, which essentially is what technology and social media has done, is it puts those heroes that we have under microscopes.
Mm,
Like, as an example, right? For me, I will say, for a long time, especially I would say when I was a kid, right? A long time, Michael Jordan was my hero. Like, I thought, I was like, man, Michael Jordan, he's awesome, he's cool, he's doing all these things.
yeah. I
But
was gonna bring him
then,
up. Yeah, I was.
yeah, and like, he was my hero for the longest time. And then,
Sure.
as time went on and I learned more about him, I kind of lost that perception, right? And I would say that even at one point, Will Smith was also a hero of mine. Like, I saw him as like, man, this guy is doing it. He's making it. He's doing really well for himself. He does a lot of, charitable things. He does amazing things with his family, all this cool things. And then, as time went on and started to learn more stuff, I lost that or I lost that view. Um, and so it really just comes down to, like, when we start viewing any of these people, because we can even go back to, I would say, everybody's, I wouldn't, okay, I'm not going to say everybody's, but most people's first heroes, which is their parents,
Sure.
right?
Definitely.
we I remember, when I was a kid, I called my parents superheroes.
Yeah.
um because I thought they were, infallible. They were just perfect. They were these, um, not only did they take care of me, but they also they knew every answer to everything that I asked. They always had time to spend with me, and like they were always there and always loving and always caring. And you know, not saying that I kind of fully lost that view, because I still see my parents as like an incredibly big part of my life, but
Oh yeah.
I just don't see them in that same light anymore. And I feel like everybody kind of gets that shift as they get older, but um, the shift from your parents being your parent, or I should really say your parents being your heroes, from to your parents just being, yes, your parents, but also normal people with normal problems.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so
Um,
I yeah.
Raul, it's good to hear from you, man. It's been a little while.
Hmm.
And thank you for jumping in on the live stream. Yeah, he is jumping on the comments, and he basically, man, says he kind of summed up what we cumulatively just said.
Hmm.
He says heroes are people who make a difference in people's lives and in their communities. Heroes are parents, teachers, brothers, and sisters. Some people idealize celebrities and professional athletes. We should admire these people, but not put them on a pedestal as they may let us down. That's exactly what you just finished up saying. There you
Hmm.
go. We could have just had Raul say that, and that would have been it.
Exactly. Raul coming in with the quotes, man, the quotables.
The quotables, absolutely. No, and he's spot on too. He really is.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for that, Raul. You know, I was going to say, you bring that up with like parents and stuff, and you end up learning, hey, they're human too. But really, what they do out of love, what love causes people to do, really is a heroic quality.
Yeah, that's very
It
true.
really is. And I put my brother in there as well. Um, and so, it,
Yeah, I'd put my sister there too. So,
sure.
but yeah,
And yeah, and
okay.
I want to say, like, on the celebrity side of things, I think there is a way. I've done this for a while, um, and maybe it was a product of growing up as an only child. My brother living in Kansas my whole young life. Um, but I segmented uh, certain qualities of people for their heroism, if you will. Okay. Um, and take that. So the new trailer has come out recently for the new Top Gun,
Hmm.
and I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. I love his movies so much. But
Hmm.
perfect example of how media really brought it out of him who he is for Scientology, right? Um, but I don't look at that. I look at the fact that on this new Top Gun movie, every actor in there, including guys like Miles Teller, had to go through training to be a fighter pilot. So that way they could fly in these F-18s in the back seat. But it be real because they
Yeah.
are real. Put these IMAX cameras in the F-18. That's fascinating to me. But that is going the next level to not only entertain people, but he is going to do things that most people would only dream of. He's trained to be a samurai,
Hmm.
right? He's trained now to be a fighter pilot. He actually drove a Formula One car, and this movie never came out, but he was trying to do a Formula One movie.
Hmm.
Um, he got his pilot's license for American Made. I mean, this
Yep.
guy's living. He's living life, you know, and
Hmm.
that to me is a heroic quality. Um, Michael Jordan manages his brand, which is himself, incredibly well, and so we don't really know much about what goes on in his personal life. We don't need to. That's the funny thing about social media. We don't necessarily need to know these things, but
Hmm.
people feel like we do. So he one thing I would take away from him, which is exemplified in The Last Dance, and there's no spin on it, but he is passionate, driven, motivated. I mean, to the extent that you can't not be inspired by the qualities when you see them in him, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
And Yeah, and that to me, man, that's what it's all about. So, um, I take that from certain people, but again, what Raul said in the comments, people that make a difference in their communities, people that, um, I could take somebody that I work with. I actually kind of mentioned her not too many weeks ago, but she, you know, chooses to be the person that treats homeless people through our partnership with a homeless shelter here. Again, I work with a local public health clinic now, and she chooses to be that person. Like, that's a heroic quality. She doesn't have to. She could work in the clinic. She's very talented,
Hmm.
but that's what she does. And I find that fascinating. So, the other quality I wanted to bring up, there is an element of cancel culture in this, right?
Yeah.
Um, and we think of it like this. So I'm going to go back to the media side of things, right? The presidents from, let's say, the 1900s to the 70s, really to Watergate, right?
Yeah.
Not really too polarizing. They're not. Um, People like FDR, right? People like Theodore Roosevelt. Um, guys, you know what I'm saying? But then
Hmm.
after that, because of the spotlight that was put on the presidential office in Watergate, the presidents that followed that are very scrutinized, right? And so
Yeah.
you don't really have anybody, and this is kind of put a different spin on it, but who are actually in leadership positions, societal, governmental, what have you, leadership positions that have a clean image because they're scrutinized so heavily. And so I think and this is kind of a sweeping generalization, which, as you know, I don't like,
Hmm.
but I think that we have a society that wants a hero. They build somebody up, build them up, build them up, build them up, and then tear them down immediately. As soon as we get to that point where, oh, they're doing really well, I don't like that person. So then people come along and they tear that person down, right? And so
Yeah.
I don't know how there ever is. Take something as simple as when Ariana Grande licked those donuts, right? I know people that genuinely hate her because she licked donuts in a donut shop. But who knows what they've done in their own personal life, right?
Yeah.
But, and granted, I'm not defending that. That's some childish behavior, but I'm just saying it's because of the combination of these things that we build these people up and then, to me, tear them down. I want to get your take on that too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're completely right. I think we still, I think everybody really has in their mind the thought process of like these people. Yeah, it's like everybody, I feel like we all have a thought process in our mind that says, man, these people are amazing, they're great, they're perfect, but they can't be perfect. So where is the non-perfection? And so we, once they get to that point, right, where they're just really amazing or whatever like that in our minds, we get to that point of saying, whereas we actively look for the issues. Even if
Yeah.
that person doesn't have any issues to begin with, we will look for those issues because we just can't live with the thought of someone truly being who they are or who they say they are or whatever like that.
Right.
So we find those fallible qualities in them so that way, like you said, we could tear them down. We tear them down so that way they fall down to our level. Because I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing, right? It's people, if you want to truly be someone's hero, you have to be X, Y, and Z, but also you can't be too high up because
Yeah.
if you're too high up, then that means that you're doing something shady and you need to be brought down a few pegs or whatever like that.
Sure. Do you
So
think
that
also
way,
that that's because conditioning? Do you think that that's like we're conditioned to be let down by these people in the public light? Again, whether they're, celebrities or other types of leaders, even church leaders, right? I mean,
Yeah,
do you think it's partly because of that?
I think so. I think so. I mean, um for me, right, personally, I think the only true hero or perfect standard is like Jesus Christ. And
Mhm.
so anybody else who doesn't meet up to that thought process, or I guess to that image or whatever like that, it automatically kind of, there's already like a thought process in my
Yeah.
mind that kind of happens. But I would say, like, even externally, like, right, getting outside of my own views and stuff like that, um I think we are conditioned to have that, because when we look back at history, right, history and stories that we've been told, there's always that hero. There's always, if the story goes on too long, right, there's always the downfall of the hero or whatever like that.
Yeah. Right.
um it's either, and sometimes it goes, even if you go even farther, right, it's the downfall of the hero, but then the rise again of the hero. And so maybe in some ways we want to do that to our heroes. We want them to fall down to our level, but then some, they're so much of a perfect person or being or whatever, that they come back out of it,
Yeah.
um
I mean,
and be that new hero or whatever like that.
yeah, I was actually about to say that there is somewhat of a legacy quality to a lot of these people where it's interesting because they're just kind of like here for a little bit and then they shoot up here and then they get ripped down to the middle part of that and then
Hmm.
they just kind of slowly work their way back up and then they go back up. I mean, again, I'll bring him up again because he's the first on my mind right now, but there are other examples. But Tom Cruise, right,
Hmm.
was ripped in the mid 2000s for his behavior on camera and what he said about Scientology. And then, I mean, he's like the only guy that you can guarantee a box office smash with, um,
Hmm.
one of the few, I should say. So it is interesting that, how that works. But yeah, again, I agree with you too. There really is only one example of a perfect human, and that is truly who we should reference for true heroism, right?
Yeah.
Um, so, with that said, hope everybody, when they listen to this on the audio version, has a happy Easter as well,
Yeah.
or had a happy Easter. Um, yeah, man, I think we had a good discussion on this, and
Yeah, I think so too.
I wanted to ask, can I plug something real quick, man?
Yeah, man, go ahead. Plug
I'm gonna,
away.
I'm gonna plug.
Of course.
Um, Okay, so I'm going to plug and I'll make sure that this is in the description of the audio as well. But I want to let you guys know that my band, No Signal, is getting the chance to open for multi-platinum rock band Saving Abel, multi-platinum selling rock band Saving Abel. And I'm very, very excited about it. So I'm going to drop the link in the comments to the event. If you're in the Wichita area in mid-June, we will be playing over there at Temple Live. It's inside the Scottish Rite Center. It's got a classic theater in there, but the building itself has been around since the 1880s. And what an awesome opportunity it is. So we're going to do full band and we're going to have a couple songs off our upcoming album that's going to be released. And man, let me tell you, I am so rejuvenated on my drive for that. Not only because how everything's coming together, but you know a contemporary of mine here in the Wichita music scene has done with a new song of his exactly what I'm looking to do with mine, and he's gotten radio placement on two different stations here. One of them is a not a locally owned station either. It's an active rock station here.
Wow,
And in less than a week, the music video on YouTube already has 25,000 plays, man.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's amazing. So I'm definitely feeling refreshed, rejuvenated because I feel very confident in this stuff, and it's gonna be awesome to with the guys, unveil it for the first time. So in such an awesome capacity. So the show is again June 15th. That's a Wednesday. Starts at 8. That's when we'll be taking the stage. And man, I'm really excited. Dennison remembers me. I've probably found Saving Abel when I was 16. We'd be riding around my truck just blasting it.
Hmm.
you know. So it's a really cool opportunity. So I just want to throw that out there. So yeah, thanks for giving me the podium there, man.
Of course,
On our topic, do you have anything else you want to add?
man. I'm just gonna start with the phrase that I said earlier. Never meet your heroes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um, so yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, keep that perception of them in your mind, because a reason I will say that and agree with that too is, keep that perception of them in your head, because that inspires you to be a better person. So at the end of the day, it's this compounding effect of positivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on that. And so that's a great point you make.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Raul adds, what about the anti-hero, the hero we can all relate to because they're flawed like us? Um, yeah, I
Yeah. Yep.
have. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was like, that is a good thought, right? Because I think in some ways, I almost feel like our heroes eventually become anti-heroes, right? Because what we talked about earlier, where we bring them down to our level or whatever like that, so that way we can relate to them more because of their own thing. So that is really good. That's a really good thought. But I haven't really, I guess I never really thought of an anti-hero.
Sure. You know, I think it depends, in my opinion, on their position. Because let's say that they're, again, we've brought him up a lot today, but Elon Musk would be an anti-hero in a sense that he comes across, he's in this unreachable capacity for most of us, right?
Hmm.
Literally changing the world, billionaire, right? And he's got these multi-billion-dollar companies, right? And here he is, like, doing all of these things, yet he acts just like a guy you could sit down at dinner with, right?
Hmm.
And he is flawed, and I don't think he ever really goes out and tries to block that in any way, or
Yeah.
dissuade that in any way. But I will say, I would view somebody like that in that position. I would say it's a powerful thing to be an anti-hero, because it inspires people that, like, hey, I'm kind of like him, and look at all he's accomplished. Maybe I can accomplish that too, right?
Hmm.
So I think there is a potency to that, um, that has the same effect. It's kind of like the reverse method, but the same effect, if you will. So yeah, what do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. No, I think you're correct on that. I think
Yeah,
um, I really think that it can work that way. I just Yeah, it's just never something that I thought of.
sure, yeah. Well, we don't view them that way. We don't really think of it. We just think, oh, they're just like us. you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Um,
true. I mean, and I guess going on that, thinking about it, we can even say like some, I don't know, for me, right? This is for me because I watch a lot of YouTube. I would say that probably some of these bigger YouTubers or YouTubers that I watch would be something similar or akin to like anti-heroes because, you know, they accept their flaws and they are who they are, and um it's kind of heroic just to see how they are, or just to see someone to be able to say like, I have these issues and I'm owning up to them, um but I'm still pushing and doing these things that I want to do, um that I want to provide.
mhm.
um and so yeah, I would very much see that. Like, a good example is, for those of you who don't know it, Mr. Beast. He does like a lot of philanthropic type of deals, like crazy giveaways and stuff like that, um, on his YouTube channel. As and then he also, but he is a flawed person, and he talks about it and all that other good stuff like that. So it's yeah, I think that is really cool, and I
Yeah.
really like what Raul put down there. Elon is a bad Bruce Wayne.
Right. Right. Which is, understandably where he's coming from with that. Also, yeah, wouldn't Batman kind of be an anti-hero? You know, he's filled with
uh,
vengeance.
yeah, I could see that. I could
Yeah,
see
he
that.
has an
He's
anger
beating
problem.
the crap out of people.
Yeah, yeah, he has an anger problem for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, um, I think we had a good discussion on this, man. This was good convo. Thank
Hmm.
you guys so much for jumping on the live stream and connecting with us. This is what it's all about. This is why we do this. So again, jump in on the live stream anytime that we're live and let us know what is trending in your world, what topics have been on your mind, what you've been talking about all week. We'll feature it in an upcoming episode of the Catch Up Podcast. So either let us know in the comments or slide into our DMs and let us know.
Hmm.
Or leave it in a rate and review if you're listening on the audio. Um, let's see here. We got one more before we bounce, man. Darian says, I'd
Hmm.
love to meet my personal heroes, but I don't want their image to be tarnished if they're not what I imagine, which is exactly, what we were saying with,
Yeah.
um, don't meet your heroes kind of a thing, and keep them on that. Whoever you put in the hero category, keep them on that point where it motivates you or inspires you in a way, right? Because that's
Yeah.
powerful and that's what it's all about, really. It's kind of like hope, really, is what it
Hmm.
is. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Um, give us a like, give us a rate and review, subscribe if you like us. If you want to support us financially, go over to our website. It's linked down in the description of this episode, or just go to nosignalrocks.com and you'll see the drop down menu for our merch and apparel and all of our audio and video episodes in one place. But yeah, man. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch up with you next week.